Alrighty guys, so wrapping up with final thoughts. Overall, I really liked this figure, and it was a nice place to. Alrighty guys, so as I said before, today we are having a look at the Marvel Select Lizard. And this guy was actually a part-time placeholder until I finished the Build-A-Figure, which I do like, but I kind of like this one too. I'd say they're about equal. Unless you're talking about the price, then this one's an absolute steal. So with that being said, he doesn't come with too many accessories, really none, but he does come with a base, so we're not going to do any cuts or nothing. It's just a brick wall base. It's got a nice base there. I guess a platform for him to stand on. Kind of hard to get him to stand on it. Nothing on the back, but what do you expect? Could hide the Punisher behind there or something. It does work with other figures, like Marvel Legends. I mean, what else are you going to put on it? Gosh forbid. Yeah? So, there's that. But looking at the lizard himself, he is pretty freaking sweet. That head sculpt is, I like it. I like the head sculpt a lot. I kind of wish he had more of a snout. Maybe the eyes were a little bit better, but other than that, definitely. I guess what I want is a more McFarlane style lizard. I know. John Wild's gonna hate me for that, but that's cool looking lizard there. But getting into the articulation, he does have a swivel and a bit of a ball at the neck. You don't get a lot out of it, but you do get a little bit. The shoulders do move out that far, which is better than the Build-A-Figure actually. Forward and back hinge at the elbow with rotation. He does have a wrist swivel and a hinge. I was never a fan of how Diamond Select did the wrists. They always seemed kind of slender and small, but you know, whatever. He's got his tail does move. It moves like this, which is kind of weird. I think it's on a ball joint too. It feels like it's going up and down a little bit, and it's for the most part holding the pose. His waist does rotate, but you don't get a whole lot out of it, so there's that. His hips are on the weird, they're Y-jointed, so you gotta rotate them to move them forward, which they don't move forward a whole lot, but it's better than nothing. And then they do move out. Again, not a whole lot, but it's better than nothing. And on my particular figure, this thigh is a little bit on the weeble wobble side. So I don't know what the deal with that is. He does have a thigh cut. He does have double jointed knee, but you really can't take too much of an advantage of it because of how the leg is sculpted. You can get it about that far back. It'll bend more, but the lab coat is a lot thicker than the Build-A-Figures, so you're not going to get a whole lot out of that. And then he also has a swivel at the foot and a hinge, which I'm not a big fan of those joints. I can't say that I am a big fan of those joints, but he does stand with a little finagling. You can get him to stand on his own 2 feet. His tail acts kind of like a tripod and does a little bit better of a job than the BAF does, only because he's a little bit more front heavy, and he doesn't exactly lean out as much, although he does fall over, as you just saw, because I'm a nitwit. But, getting him posed a little bit here. It's not easy to get him to stand up. You gotta have his tail at a specific angle, and it will act as a tripod. kind of. You may want to have his... Oh, that's probably why his one leg wasn't straight. Let me... That's probably... That probably didn't help none. Jeepers. This review is going downhill fast, kids. Because he does have a... bit of weakness in the legs, but you can get him to stand. I'd say if you really needed to, bend this lower leg a little bit. I mean, that one does it automatically because it's not that tight. But, yeah. So sorry about that. I think he'll want to stand now. There we go. There you go. So you gotta have him bent a little bit at the knees, particularly the lower knees, because that's the only way he'll really truly stand upright. But with a little finagling, you can get it to work. It's not that big of a deal. So with that being said, time to finally move on to some size comparisons. Alrighty, so starting off with Pizza Spidey and himself. Here is the Marvel Select Lizard next to both of them. To be honest with you, the Marvel Legends one would probably be the same height. I said this in the review of him last week, exactly a week ago, actually. And I pointed out that the lizard bath of his legs could straighten out, probably be about the same height or bigger than this guy. And the case still stands. He's got the upper body for it. He should have the legs for it, right? Obviously he doesn't, which is why nobody likes him except me. And then Pizza Spidey, you know, he's a little scrawny bugger next to both of them. Even though the Marvel Legends lizard isn't as tall as this one, I guarantee you that this one is still pretty well to scale. I mean, just look at the bulk on the Build-A-Figure compared to this one. It's a much more, I guess, evolutionized, maybe. Like this lizard, the Marvel Select ones early on, and the lizard transformation, and then the Marvel Legends ones later, because it's got more rips in it, and the clothes and the coat and stuff, and it's bulkier. The only thing missing is it being taller than this one. Which I still say, oh well, because that's just the state of action figures we're living in. They're not gonna do that type of stuff because that would be really sick, you know. But whatever. I'd say both lizards have their merits, and you know, Pizza Spidey seems to be the most common Spidey now, so there is that. And just for kicks and giggles, here is Lizard next to a couple other Spider-Man villains that also happen to be Build-A-Figures. The only two that are classic, I believe. Rhino and the Sandman. Now, I don't know. Somebody tell me if I should pick up that Toy Biz Sandman, the Spider-Man Classics one. I kind of like that figure. I wouldn't mind having it. I feel like he'd be a better scale-wise, because I don't think Sandman should be as tall as the Rhino. But that's just me. I could be crazy. I could be 100% right, but yeah, I mean, I guess he can change his size, but just a random, regular, I guess, standard size one, shouldn't he be on like the Hyperion body or something like that? I hate that body. You guys tell me. But the lizard, I think, scales decent with these two. He looks much better when these two are not in the picture, because these two, when I think of them, I think of Sandman being like a Venom size, and then Rhino being really, really big, and Lizard should probably be more towards the middle, but that's just me. But I guess you could fudge this guy in with these two if you really wanted to, or any Spider-Man villains for that matter. Um, like the magnificent Mysterio here. I mean, that to me seems decent, but I could be wrong. But with that being said, it's time to move on to final thoughts. Alrighty, guys, so wrapping up with final thoughts, I really like this figure. It's a really good placeholder if you can't afford one of the Marvel Legends ones, and it's a really good size, and I'd say it's to scale with Legends. I mean, that seems to be what everyone buys now, isn't it? But, yeah, I really do like this guy. Outside of the ankle joints being kind of crap, I don't mind the weird hip joints. I mean, they work. You can get them to work. I kind of wish his head had a little bit more movement, maybe something in the torso just to get him in a more crouching position. But other than that, the rest seems to work just fine, at least for me. And I'd highly recommend you check this guy out. Um, Also, the tail is definitely a step up from the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure one. Let's just get that out of the way right now. So, with that being said, I'm going to give this guy a 9 out of 10. Uh, say what you will about Marvel Select, but they do produce some pretty damn good action figures, and this is no exception. And their customer service does not suck. You hear that, Hasbro? They sent me parts I needed. What's your excuse? But with that being said, enough trash talk. Hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Sorry. 90s animated series kind of brought me back.